Continuing on with the Bond films for the November edition of the Movie Club is our second one. George Lazenby's one and only movie on Her Majesty's Secret Service came out in 1969, only 2 years after You Only Live Twice. They already got rid of Sean Connery. Ended up bringing him back, though, because George Lazenby sucked so bad. And the box office stuff was pretty decent for this, but the reception was poor when it came to Lazenby, and Lazenby had apparently a lot of problems with people. There was something that I wasn't aware of until Alex brought it up to me, and I looked into it a little bit more, but the garlic story. You want to fill us in on that a little bit?
Oh my gosh, this George Lazenby character was an arrogant son of a bitch. He never acted in a movie. Suddenly he's an international, film phenomenon playing James Bond. So, before one of the make-out sequences with Diana Rigg, apparently George Lazenby chewed on some garlic. Here for the scene.
Yeah, they did not get along, and neither did Lazenby get along with the producers and stuff. He apparently goofed off and broke his shoulder, or dislocated it, or broke his arm, or something. He had some kind of an injury where he was just fucking around on a horse and fell or something, and he was just a real ass,
Oh.
So before we get into the specifics of the movie itself, I want to continue on with this George Lazenby thing. And when you see the beginning of this movie, and you have no context for it at all and whatever like that, if you put your mindset into what the people were in 1969, they've already watched a bunch of movies with Sean Connery. He's the one and only James Bond. There's never been a precedent before to have a series continue with a different actor. Now we have recastings for people in in Iron Man. They got rid of Terrence Howard and replaced him with Don Cheadle. He's playing the same character and you're supposed to just ignore it. You've got the Jack Ryan movies where it's a different person almost every time and people just are okay with it and stuff. But Bond really started it out, and the first thing that you see is George Lazenby go, "Oh, this never happened to the other fella. Huh, remember that? Remember how I'm not Sean Connery?" Was that a mistake, or was that a good idea to reference that? Is it worth the joke?
No.
No.
I mean, at least not to me.
Not at all to me. I think it's so dumb, and that started so much of this nonsense that people do now, where it's the James Bond codename fan theory of that they're actually different people, and they just get plastic surgery, or they
Oh, God.
they all get the code name James Bond so they don't use their real name, and the same backstory and whatever. Total bullshit. They've made it a point in the movies to point out that that's not true and stuff. So anybody who's listening to this right now, Lazenby is the same person as Connery. You just need to put that aside. So 64% for the audience score on this, which is around the same as You Only Live Twice. And 82% for the tomato meter. So the critics liked it better. And Alex, I know that you like this movie a whole lot.
Right.
Why?
We've already talked about its biggest liability, which is George Lazenby, who basically doesn't know how to act, delivers his lines stiffly, has a very narrow range. But this happens to be one of the more realistic Bond plots. It's very well written. It's tightly directed and edited by Peter R. Hunt, who had worked as an editor on the previous 5 Bond films. It's got a very memorable music score, beautifully shot in Valps. It's a solid Bond film, start to finish,
Caroline, I'm going to throw my own opinion out here first because I want you to be the difference maker here. I hate this movie. And it's not even so much that it's my least favorite Bond film. I don't like it, period. I think this movie's garbage in every possible way and stuff like that. So Alex loves it. I hate it. Where do you stand on it?
I have to be honest. I tried watching this movie twice. I fell asleep both times in different parts of the movie. And oh my God, the good thing now is that next time I can't sleep, I know what I have to do. I just have to watch it or try to or just put it on. Like, I'm sorry, Alex. I love that you're so passionate about this movie. Like, your description actually made me like, maybe I just need to give it another go. But I really tried. Like, oh God, it was so boring in the beginning with not only the interesting choices in fashion, but dramatically lunging himself in the water. Oh God, no. Oh, I just felt like I was watching, what is that soap opera called? Like General Hospital, whatever it's called. Like, it was just like not my thing. No.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be fair, there is a warning on the back of the DVD box that says this film may be used as a nighttime sleep aid. So I know where you're coming from.
Like, I mean, we're going to break down the same kind of similar things we did with You Only Live Twice if you listen to that part. If you haven't, by the way, and you're listening to part 2 first, go back and watch part 1. I don't know what the hell you're doing here. That's not how it works. But one of my big complaints about this movie is how it feels like a cheesy parody of a Bond film. And we just talked about how ridiculous You Only Live Twice is, but this takes it to a different level. We've got the over-the-top megalomaniac villain. His headquarters is in the Alps. The scene at the end, it's supposed to be one of the most powerful scenes in the Bond franchise history, is made laughable because Blofeld's got this stupid neck brace on.
Oh.
Like,
that was for insurance purposes. That was for insurance. He couldn't be seen by the insurance people without the neck brace. Or they'd sue him.
This movie's so bad. Like, all right, Blofeld. Let's talk about Blofeld. This is probably my least favorite Blofeld. Telly Savalas. All right, first off, the continuity of the movie is all fucking retarded because they met. They know each other. And I know that the main reason why this is messed up is because the book came first before You Only Live Twice, but still, they didn't figure out a way to get around it. They meet again in this one and act like they don't know each other.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a conundrum there, a logical conundrum.
Blofeld in You Only Live Twice got a giant scar across his eye. In this one, not only does he not have that scar, but they make a big point to be like, well, you got like some fucked up earlobes there, don't you? I don't see how there's an argument for Telly Savalas as Blofeld.
He's my favorite Blofeld. He seems he's worldly and urbane. He's one of the only Bond villains. One of the tropes in the Bond films is that the villain tries to seduce Bond's girl, and more often than not, the villain is some hideously deformed, ugly, overweight mutant type, like Carl Stromberg in Spy Who Loved Me, or even Donald Pleasence, You Only Live Twice. But Telly Savalas is one of the only Bond villains. You can actually imagine him putting the moves on Diana Rigg. He's got that velvety, deep voice, that glistening bald head.
Those fucked up earlobes. Yeah, see, I buy Sean Bean, and we'll get to that with GoldenEye, but Telly Savalas is just weird, and like, I look at this as like, if you took elements from a bunch of Bond films and did it like a parody version, like Blofeld, my favorite Blofeld, I actually really like Christoph Waltz's. I might have to watch it another couple of times to see where he ranks, but my favorite is the one from Russia with Love. Maybe from Thunderball too, because they're basically the same, but I like the Blofeld that just seems menacing. This Blofeld seems jokey. And I liked Rosa Klebb in From Russia with Love, and Irma Bunt's like the discount Rosa Klebb.
Yeah, she's a bargain bin Rosa Klebb for sure. We should make clear that the Blofeld you're saying you like in From Russia with Love and Thunderball is not an actor. He's never seen on screen.
Exactly. He's an arm.
An arm and a cat.
Yeah.
Aww.
But he's so much more intimidating.
I mean, once the cloak had come off and we had seen Blofeld in You Only Live Twice, I think they're humanizing him. They're showing, he talks about enjoying watching the sunrise. We're getting to know Blofeld. We're sitting next to him on that posh couch he has in his Swiss restaurant up there. We're getting to know Blofeld. He's not menacing so much as he is, his goal in the film is just to get recognition of his noble title.
What the plot of this movie?
I just want to kind of argue that because you can definitely have a villain who is pure evil and menacing, but you still really, really care for them as if they're. Maybe that's just me, but whenever I watch something like Silence of the Lambs, yes, Hannibal Lecter is scary. You don't want to be around him. I mean, close to him because he might eat you, but you still care for him. You don't want him to get hurt in the way that he dies. And like, I felt bad when he got his hand cut, for instance. Like, even though he's a cannibal, so I just feel like, nah. I feel like, yes, you can enjoy the sunset as much as you want, but you can still be a very mean son of a bitch and show that.
Fair enough.
So, any thoughts on Irma Bunt?
She sounds like she hardly knows English.
Aww.
My only note that I wrote down for her is, this is a direct quote of what I wrote down. I'm just going to read it. Purpose is to have boring exposition scenes that ramble on and still don't really say all that much. And that's a recurring thing about this movie. One of my least favorite parts is that there are just countless scenes that are just like dragging on and on and on. And by the end of it, like 10 minutes goes by and I feel like it's been an hour and I realize that nothing was accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely slowly paced. It's more sort of operatic than some of the other Bond films. It was the longest Bond film, all the way up until, I think, Casino Royale, at 2 hours and 19 minutes. I mean, it takes its time, elaborating the plot. And also, keep in mind, I mean, the marriage story is not handled lightly. I mean, it does come off now melodramatic, and I have a theory about that we can get into later. But there are almost two different stories going on, and the film gives both of them equal time and equal weight. So it unfolds slowly, but there's a reason for it. It's a main aspect of the character that he gets married, he falls in love this one time.
This one time.
Okay.
What's your theory about the love thing that you were talking about?
Oh no, the theory about why the film doesn't come off as well as it ought to. It's the weightiest sort of Bond plot, the most until some of the Brosnan films that add depth to the character. This was the most sort of up close and personal we got with Bond, and it's just coincidental that they happen to have the worst, most wooden Bond actor in the whole series. It was almost like they misplayed their hand with this one. They had one of the better scripts and one of the worst actors, and so it's a kind of balancing act. The film sinks in certain parts, but the script, the plot holds it up, I think, a little bit.
So when I look at the Bond girls and the whole spectrum of the whole series and stuff like that, obviously there's no way you can mention them without mentioning Tracy and stuff. But Tracy is somebody who I'm not that fond of. And it's not so much Diana Rigg, and it's not even so much her lack of a chemistry with Lazenby or something like that, but I don't really love her character all that much. I do like a couple parts, so I'm not going to shit on every single thing about this movie. I like how she admits, she says, Teresa was a saint, I'm Tracy. I like the one scene, actually probably my favorite part of the movie, if not my second favorite part, is how she forces Draco to tell Bond the information that he wants. And she's doing it to make sure that Bond's actually interested in her, if he's just using her to get the information. I was like, all right, that's pretty smart. So what's up with this relationship? She's mad, Bond slaps her, and then she's okay with it, and then she's just sort of like, well, I love you. And he's like, oh, I love you too. Like, how is this justified? What the hell's going on here?
All we get in terms of the explanation is a montage with a love song.
And it's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, and well, we get a little bit of an explanation when it comes to Draco saying, and this is, again, the time period, what she needs is a man to dominate her, to make love to her enough to make her love him.
Oh, God.
Like, Jesus, God, man, like... And the whole subplot just gets dropped midway through and focuses on stuff like the shuffleboard and curling and whatever. And it's like that time period you could have been used to actually build up like any actual chemistry between the two. I don't see it at all.
I think that it comes down to the fact that maybe they're just not good actors, and since they had so many issues on set, as you guys were saying, maybe they just couldn't get past that, and what we got in the movie was the best that they could do. I wouldn't put it past them.
Alex, do you have anything that could like argue in favor of this? Can you try to save this this love story?
I think you put your finger on it when you say it's just kind of unbelievable that a simple slap across the face would suddenly make this woman who's supposed to be a really fierce and independent type character suddenly fall for Bond. It's not believable.
And it's weird that Bond gets married in this, but it's fine that Bond gets married. That's it's an important thing going forward, and it's something that they reference in a lot of the Bond films, and I love it when they do it too. Like in For Your Eyes Only, he's checking out her grave. In The Spy Who Loved Me, there's a great part where Anya is like they're doing a little like tit for tat. Like he knows a bunch of stuff about her, and she goes like, "Well, I know a lot about you. I know that you were married once." And he's like, "That's enough." I love when we're gonna get to it in License to Kill. There's a reference to that, even in The World Is Not Enough, which, by the way, World Is Not Enough gets its name from this movie. That's the Bond crest. There's a little scene where she says something, Electra says, "Have you ever lost anybody?" and whatever, and Bond just kind of looks off to the side, just goes like, "All right, let's change this conversation," kind of a thing. So I like how they built this in, but I just feel like it's like, man, the weight of her death at the end means so much more than anything that actually happens with their relationship. Like, I'd feel it so much more if I felt like they actually cared for each other.
And Lazenby's reaction to her death isn't quite convincing either.
No, it's all right. It's all right. No, it's fine. We were gonna go kill ourselves. So, another weird thing when it comes to the women in this, all the Bond girls in Blofeld's place, in particular, the annoying one, Ruby Bartlett, the annoying girl with the glasses. If it's not weird enough that we've got a new Bond and that they're marrying him off and whatever like that, he pretends to be gay. What do you guys think about that? Because not that there's anything wrong with, any, like, they could have, I mean, they had Mr. Went, Mr. Kid, and it was like, whatever. And if there were gay characters in the Bond series, I wouldn't give a shit or whatever like that, but it's like, this, as far as I know, it's the only time that Bond's ever acted gay. And it's weird as all hell. And they sort of brush it off as like, wouldn't it be funny if Bond acted gay? But no, he's a man, like that kind of thing. Again, it's 1969. Of course, they're gonna
right.
Like that.
Everybody was a little gay back then.
I do love one line though. They say, "Is there anything wrong?" And he goes, "Just a slight stiffness coming on."
Right. It's funny. All the times I watched this film, I never put it together that he was acting gay, and then I watched it with my girlfriend, and she pointed it out, and then Tony, you pointed it out, and it never occurred to me.
Really? All these years?
Yeah.
Well, you got terrible gaydar then.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I need new batteries for it.
Oh.
Did that strike you as odd, Caroline? The whole pretending to be gay thing?
Not really. I kind of wanted to like it more. I was like, oh, please let this be sexy, but no.
He runs off with Blofeld instead of Tracy.
Now that
would
be with his glistening head.
Throw Blofeld in the water and
He's like, I really like your name, Blofeld.
Oh God.
This never happened to the other fella.
Theme music is something we should talk about. This is the only Bond theme, other than technically Dr. No, that doesn't have any lyrics to it.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, I haven't seen all of them, obviously, but...
So we went a little sing-songy and You Only Live Twice. Anybody have any ideas of what they would pitch for On Her Majesty's Secret Service being sang?
Oh God. I'm not even gonna try. Go, Alex, go!
On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I love the main theme, though. I think it's great. It's one of my favorite, like, just instrumental type of things that they've got out there. And they did a little variation of it for the trailers for Spectre, and that kind of made me mark out a little bit. Your thoughts on that, Alex?
Definitely. This is probably my favorite John Barry James Bond score. Super memorable, beautiful, hummable, really memorable electric guitar that we get. Or there's like an electric bass, like a funky James Bond theme in the opening pre-title sequence. It's a very there's some lame songs, there's some Christmas songs, regrettable Christmas songs.
Yeah,
but the instrumental score, excellent.
We have to talk about this because there's two other main songs in this. We have All the Time in the World, which is kind of the main theme of this. And that's, the love theme and whatever like that. And Do You Know How Christmas Trees Are Grown? Fucking terrible. That is the worst part of maybe any Bond movie ever, is that freaking song. And it plays so long in this. It does not shut up, and I can't stand it. Like, it's ear grating. It's so goddamn terrible. I hate it so much. They deserve to. I don't know. I hate it. I hate it so much. I will say this, though. We Have All the Time in the World. It's a pretty decent song. Although I think it feels weird in the score. And you were talking about John Barry's score. You don't think that comes off a little bit odd? Like, it doesn't feel like a Bond movie to me.
No, definitely. The way those sequences are shot, in other words, when it appears in the montage, you mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's like little flutterings here and there and stuff.
I mean, Barry handles it, I think, pretty well, takes the melody out of it, orchestrates it, but when the Louis Armstrong version appears in the montage, it definitely feels like Carolyn was saying, like a soap opera or something. The way the scenes are shot, glowing in light, it's really cheesy.
What did you think about the Christmas tree song, Caroline?
Oh man, I have like faint memories over. I don't like Christmas music as is. So to me, it was just like, oh, I'll go back to sleep now.
Did anyone catch? I mean, how are Christmas trees grown?
I think that's how they say it. So I want to point out a couple of little random things when it comes to like gadgety action kind of stuff. I don't have a whole lot of notes for that. I don't know if anybody else does, but too silly. The bobsled thing. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was a bobsled chase.
It was terrible.
But
and that's like how you're supposed to assume that Blofeld is like taken out of the picture?
Listen, they're up in the Alps. They got a lot of time to kill. They play some winter sports.
If I wanted to watch bobsledding, I would watch Cool Runnings.
I think this film was the inspiration for Cool Runnings.
Well, here's another gripe I have about this movie. Since everything is in the snow for so long, it's just like this bland one-note scenery, and I can't tell the difference between some of the action sequences. Like, does that scene with the, he had a lot of guts, was that before or after the, scene with the shed?
I think it's before. There's some, wild coincidences that happen in the action scenes that Bond meets up with Tracy, who's suddenly in the Swiss Alps after she's been disappeared for 35 minutes.
Oh, then you could get the best action scene of the whole movie, where Bond sits and reads Playboy.
That's a very tense scene.
Now, I know you know the song that plays in this one. How did that one go?
Yeah, okay, so we're talking about Gumboldt's Safe Break. That song wasn't included on the original score, came out on the Bond Back in Action CDs in the 90s. It goes ba 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 be da dum ba 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 dee da 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 dum for like 6 minutes straight.
Yeah, it's unbearable, man. I don't know how you can listen to that stuff after a while. So we're going to pass this around again like we did with You Only Live Twice. Some of the things we haven't talked about, favorite, least favorite stuff, and a 0 to 10 ranking on here. Caroline, I'm going to start with you. What do you think?
I'll give it a 1 just because he put me to sleep. And that could be a good thing. So that's why it has a 1. And that could be a bad thing because I wanted to watch it and really figure out why Alex loved this movie so much. I just couldn't do it. 1.
Alex, are you going to give it like a 9 or something?
I actually fell asleep on this
Good.
last viewing as well. So
Good.
Well, there you go.
But favorite things about it, the John Barry score, super memorable. Some of Bond's outfits, the orange turtleneck with the brown suede jacket, amazing. The set design, again, very beautiful. Love all the putrid, rotting orange colors, greens and yellows in Blofeld's Swiss castle there. I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to be generous by giving it a 2. My least favorite part is definitely that love montage. It's just so out of place. And my favorite part of the whole movie is something that I'm sure most people wouldn't pay any attention to, wouldn't care whatsoever. It's not as crazy as the Dahu Dahu thing, but I like how at the wedding Bond throws his hat to Moneypenny. Just a nice little thing of like, we had that little relationship kind of going, you're special to me, and that's it. Because I like Bond and Moneypenny. I don't think that they should like get together at the end kind of a thing, but it's a nice acknowledgement that there's like something there. Especially better that he has her as like a backup option because Tracy dies 10 minutes later. So that's it for number 2. We got number 3 coming up, Roger Moore's movie, The Man with the Golden Gun. As I said before, iTunes and Stitcher people, you don't got to do a damn thing, but the YouTube people, unfortunately, you got to click away, and we'll see you there in part 3 of 6.